Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Behind the Screens, your favorite esports and gaming talk show here at Radio UTD. My name's Hector.
I'm Hitarth.
And I'm Adi. And this week, I would like to open with, we touched on this briefly last time, but I talked about Genshin Impact a little bit, and the game has since taken over my life, for lack of a better term. And apparently, I'm not alone in how addicted or air quotes addicted. Actually, no, I'm addicted to Squirt. I'll just say it. Addicted I am to the game because Genshin Impact has been doing remarkably well. In just over the course of 2 weeks, the game has grossed 100 million.
Yep.
And for a free-to-play title, that's insane.
That's honestly crazy.
It beats nothing on TF2 though.
Yeah, I'm sorry it hasn't done as much as a game that's been out for over a decade. But Genshin Impact has officially recuperated all of its development costs, and according to them, this is just the start of what they're planning on bringing out. Since this is a free-to-play game, they have a lot of content planned in the future. And for those who don't know what Genshin Impact is, I guess we should probably go over that from top to bottom. So have you ever played Breath of the Wild?
Oh my god.
If so,
No.
this is the game for you.
It's Genshin Impact falls into one of those things where it's just gameplay is, I'm gonna say, Breath of the Wild-esque because that's just the easiest base for me to define and describe things on, but with a focus on character and combat progression rather than exploration. The exploration is still absolutely there, and there's bigger obvious benefits, but once you're done exploring, this is what I find the difference to be between Genshin Impact and Breath of the Wild. Once you're done exploring, combat becomes the main focus, and upgrading your characters becomes the main focus. In Breath of the Wild, you don't really ever stop exploring.
Yeah, compared to Breath of the Wild, Genshin, to be more specific on genre of game, Genshin Impact is a 3D open world JRPG. So there's a lot more focused on there's a lot more focus on upgrading your characters and leveling them up via combat and all that. Versus Breath of the Wild, there's not necessarily a level up system. There are different weapons, but you can't really do much with the new weapons. You just have different weapons that do better stuff. Whereas in Genshin, you get to actually upgrade your weapons and try making them better, and then mix matching your accessories on your characters for added benefits and all that.
Yeah, there's a far heavier focus on equipment and character progression, and since it's a free to game, I can't even speak.
It's free to
language.
gameplay.
Free though.
I guess that's technically not wrong, but since it's a free to play game, the way Genshin Impact decides to monetize itself is through the gacha system. And for those who have never played a gacha game before in your life, please keep it that way. You're better off for it, I promise you. But an explanation of the gacha system is essentially it's a lottery. You have a certain amount of premium currency, and you insert that currency into the lottery, and you get a specified amount of rules. Let's say if I have 10 of the premium currency, I get to do 10 pulls, and the stuff I get from that is totally random. It is totally up to the game that I could pull a character, I could pull a weapon, I could pull another character I already have or a weapon I already have. That's totally up to the game, and it's all luck based. And of course, since it's the lottery, people like to gamble.
Yeah. I
Hector has a gambling problem.
I don't have a gambling problem. Listen, I'd say...
Listen, he's up on the house.
True. I'm very conservative with my gambling, right?
Yeah.
It's I gamble, and it's not even gambling big money. It's $10 or whatever, right? But I'm willing...
Someone with a gambling
Okay, no,
problem
listen. I'm willing to lose that money, just because it's money that I know I shouldn't expect to get in return. And so if I end up profit, great. If not, I just had $10 that I spent for messing around and having fun.
Yeah, it's for you, it's more like spending money on a movie, right? Because you're giving up $7-8 and for that 2 hours of entertainment, and it's more or less the same way.
So it's
when you look at it
45
from that
minutes of
perspective.
just adrenaline kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, and it's like the chance of like chasing the thrill, and I think that's what games like Genshin basically strive to be when they do those type of gacha systems, where it's like the chance to get something is enough for people to waste a crap ton of money on. And you've seen
Yeah,
big streamers spending $200, $400 on just opening stuff to get one character.
it's funny you mentioned that because TSM Leffen was surprisingly one of those people where he downloaded Genshin and I was literally like sitting there watching him for 20 or 30 minutes where he just like finished doing like a set of roles from like the amount of currency that he bought, and he's just like, I think he'll do one more. And I'm just like, no, that's it. He's in too deep. It's in his head.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've never been like super into like, well, I guess I don't know. If you think about like Smite, like chess, it's kind of the same system in a way. But
Yeah,
I didn't like exclusively buy gems and stuff like that to unlock chests.
And another difference between this and Smite, for the record, he's talking about skins for Smite, which are just cosmetic. These are bona fide gameplay elements that you're rolling for. Like there's a chance that a person, like Hitarth has a character called Beto. I don't have this character, even though I've rolled way more like on it. I just happen to never run into that. That's
Yep.
just the way that it works. And some people find it kind of unique because you work with what you're given, because you're just like, okay, I have a completely different set of like party members and weapons than this person has, so I might tackle a challenge differently than the way this person did, or my team might have different synergies. So people look at it like that. A lot of people are just like, I just want the character because they look nice.
Mm-hmm. That's generally how it goes with these games.
Yeah, but Genshin Impact is a little bit different in the fact that usually these free-to-play gacha game type of things also come with a sort of energy system to limit how much you play the game per day. Just so like you play a bit, you're just like, okay, you're hooked, but you're also out of energy for that day. You can replenish that energy for a set amount of premium currency. Genshin Impact doesn't have anything like this. It features a completely open world. Again, this is where I'm going to go back to Breath of the Wild, featuring like towers, like to unlock the map, teleport systems, like there's various objectives around the map, all completely outside of like being monetized. They're just gameplay elements. And honestly, the amount of content that's there for completely free is frankly absurd. It is way more than I was expecting to get.
Yeah, I mean, I've put in, I'd say, maybe 4 hours into the game so far, maybe a little less. I will say it's not like my pacing of game really, but there definitely is a ton of content for people that are into that style of game to play. I think for me, what makes it like, and I've noticed this, and I'm surprised I liked Breath of the Wild so much, is that like I just feel myself almost going to quests and doing them, but without even like really using my brain, if that makes sense. Like half the time when I'm doing quests in that game, I felt like I was on autopilot, and I feel that way about other games like Guild Wars 2 and like Riders of Icarus, that style of game where it's like quest based and there's like a ton of smaller quests where it's like go fetch this, go kill this quests. Amount of, and so it's I wouldn't say it's exactly like that because I definitely already seen a lot more variety, but it does have that sense of gameplay where I still feel that way personally. I don't know if you guys feel like it does have some of those quests.
No, it absolutely does. And this is coming from a person who's done like JRPGs forever. So at this point, I just don't like, I just don't think about it. It's just like something, okay, like, yeah, go kill 10 slimes, whatever. I'll probably kill like 10 slimes whenever like I'm wandering on like the way there. Like or wherever I feel like going. So
I think barring what you were talking about when it comes to like an energy or anything, there's not really anything. There is one thing in the game which is known as resin, which some people have complained about because like you only recover up to so resin is used as an energy source in Genshin, that lets you get rewards from like certain things, such as like certain bosses in the open world, certain domains, and like certain blossoms and all that. And so here's the thing: you can complete them without resin just fine, but you won't get any rewards if you don't have any. And so the only way to get these rewards is by having resin, and it replenishes at a rate of 1 every 8 minutes. And you can like, hold up to a total of 120.
Yeah.
So people have been like farming this and like finding out how to like optimize this perfectly. And this is like the only thing people complained about, because once you start running out of story and stuff to do, this is like the best way to grind for like loot and all that.
Yeah, and I will say, as a person who's there, you know, I'm at the point where I've covered all of the current story that's out, and I'm just essentially more or less like waiting for new content. And but I think this is something that, again, I've talked about before, where if you have a successful start of a game, you need to hop on making a making new content for that game really fast to retain that audience. And Genshin Impact, the MiHoYo, I think is the way you say their name. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Has already very quickly said that, yeah, more content is on the way, and here's exactly like the roadmap that we have laid out. So they're going to be launching version 1.1 on November 11th, which will include more characters and a new event. 1.2 will be launching on December 23rd, which will include an entire new region to explore and a lot more story missions. And then 1.3 will be releasing sometime in February 2021, and it will include like another event and more characters. And I'm glad that they've set out some sort of roadmap. And I think if something like Fall Guys had this, it would have made the wait a lot more bearable, because they always just talking about like, you know, Fall Guys season 2 is coming, but we didn't really have anything to say like, okay, if you wait till like this time, you know, there is more stuff for the game, it will be here.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that it's a smart tactic, both from like a consumer standpoint and also from the game developer, because it gives them obviously that soft deadline that they need to have it done by, but it also gives the consumer something to come back to and anticipate something, hype it up for a specific time. And I can see both ends of the spectrum, right? Like, one is, oh, you kind of build up the hype by not having a release date, so everyone's always thinking about it, and that's like hopeful wishing, I feel, especially if the game isn't as hype as like a huge franchise like, I don't know, Elder Scrolls 6, for instance, like where like people are gonna hype that up no matter what just because it's Elder Scrolls. But like,
yeah,
Fall Guys season 2, like you brought up, which was a great point, is like not many people were gonna be like super hype and like watching like leaks and stuff like that when it's just a game that doesn't really have much to it, if that makes sense.
It's a game that's got more to prove to its audience than something like the Elder Scrolls brand does.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think that's a really good job on the part of the game developers. Clearly, they are very, very on top of their game, I feel, especially with how much content they... Was the battle pass like added at the beginning of the game, or was that like something that was a post?
Yeah, that's a good point to mention. This is another thing that a lot of free-to-play games do that I was surprised to see that was in Genshin. Once you hit rank 20 on your account, the battle pass becomes unlocked, and this is the first time I've actually bought the premium track for battle pass. It was $10, and essentially it's just it just gives you like a set of goals to do around the world, so you can level up your battle pass and gain more you know, like items for experience, premium currency, money within the game. And yeah, but to answer your question, it's not something they give you access to immediately, which surprised me.
Yeah, that is pretty surprising, because typically I would say that a lot of free-to-play games are like in your face, get the battle pass the second that you get the game type thing.
Yeah, but Genshin Impact is definitely something that I think is here to stay, and that's even more apparent by the fact, that they've announced a PS5 port and a Nintendo Switch port. They have like no idea when it's coming yet, but it has been announced. You know, like it is on the way. I think the game is currently out on PC, mobile, and PS4. So PS5 and Switch are also on the way.
That's crazy that it's on mobile still to me. I can't believe it.
I
Yeah.
know.
Does
I
it
know
run
Eli's
like
been
the
playing it
same?
on mobile, and I'm kind of tempted to ask him how it's been running because it's just for how like graphical this game is. I don't know how this runs on mobile.
I'm getting it on my iPad.
Let me know how that runs. But speaking of the PS5, really fast, over the past couple of days, um, pl- PlayStation has announced more details about the PS5, and the main one that I finally got some sort of answers for is, will it be doing backwards compatibility? And I can finally say the answer is a wholehearted yes. Um, they've said that majority of the 4,000 PS4 games are going to be able. I can't speak the English language. Somebody stop me, please.
All right,
Are
later.
going to be
Nope. You're on
available
your
on the
own.
PS5. Okay, thanks. Some of them have game boost. This is essentially saying some previous gen titles are going to get like 4K 60 FPS upscaling. I'm sure Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be one of those. But a lot of, I think as of right now, they've only mentioned 10 games that are not available to play on PS5 that are available on PS4. And I gotta say, I think I've only ever heard of 2 of these.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go and read the list out to you guys. And I want you to tell me if you've ever heard of these games. DWVR,
Nope.
Afro Samurai 2, Revenge of the Kuma Volume 1.
Negative.
Actually, kind of.
Really? I've never heard of that game before in my entire life.
You've never heard of Afro Samurai?
Nope.
Come on, you didn't see
It's,
that game's done quick?
Afro Samurai is like, it was a TV series and it's also a game series as well. So that's like
Oh,
probably
okay.
the majority of why I know what it is.
Yeah, but,
It's
but
not
jumping down
bad.
the list, on this, the only ones I think I've heard of is Shadow Complex Remastered and Hitman Go Definitive Edition. But everything else is available on the PS5. And
So
seeing
basically
as
everything that's relevant.
yeah, basically everything that's relevant. Dang, you're really gonna offend some Robinson the Journey fans out there, Hector. Come on.
My bad. Like the 6 people that like that game.
What about Joe's Diner, dude? People care about Joe's Diner. What the heck is Joe Diner?
If it's anything
No,
like Diner Dash, then I like it. But
Audi, I know why I know Afro Samurai, why it's familiar.
What's up?
It's not just a TV series, it's an anime.
Of course it is.
I was like, this
it's
looks
either
so
a
familiar.
speedrun game or it's an anime with its art.
Listen,
Those are the 2 ways he knows.
it's not bad. It's not a bad anime. It's actually really good. It's funny. It's really funny for some
Okay,
reason.
I can appreciate
Because
a good funny
because
show.
the main guy, because it's called Afro Samurai. The main guy's a samurai, and he's got this really big afro, and it's just
Like,
absurd.
are we talking about just the fact that he has an afro, or it's like comically overbearing?
like I'm sending you an image, and you can tell me what.
Comically overbearing it is.
Yep.
But going back to the PS5 thing, I'm so happy to hear that they're doing backwards compatibility with the PS4, because, you know, as a person who owned a PS4, not finding out that it didn't have backwards compatibility with the PS3 was jarring.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not something that like most people anticipate having, but at this point it's like
Actually,
Um,
I kind of disagree with that.
I don't know,
Because-
because like, well, at least back in the day, I don't think many people anticipated PS3 games being available on PS4. Like that gen increase was a lot more, like,
I mean, I'm just saying
I
that
don't know.
backwards compatibility is like more of an expected thing, just because you have stuff like, obviously whenever there's like the PS2 and the PS1, like people expected that, but the early versions of the PS3 have backwards compatibility to the PS2, and I believe some of the PS1 library as well. Eee. I'm done speaking.
All right, and now Audi is done talking for the
All
rest
right,
of
now
the
that
show.
Audie's done. Yeah, you know, it's funny because now I'm like looking at like, there's been some not leaks, but like the official like
spreading.
news of the PS5 home screen, and it's just reminding me because I see like ads for like on there they have like little games and then it says the price and it's like $69.99. It's like I keep forgetting that that's like the new norm now for some games, which is just
So wait,
a little weird.
Yeah, $70.
But like, I don't know if that's gonna be the same way for PC, if that makes sense, right? Because like, I'd assume so, but
That's a good question, actually.
because
Yeah.
like we've been talking about it from a console standpoint of like, oh, those games are gonna go up, like some of the games are gonna go to 70, but if those games are also coming out on PC, why would they not make it the same price? And so I guess that's a question to you guys, like, now that some developers are going to the 70, do you think that a lot of like the PC ports of games are gonna also be at the same price? And how do you think that's gonna fare with other games that are exclusively coming out for PC that are only 60?
Let's see. So, the thing with them increasing their price, right, is more of a fact that it has to do with development rather than a new generation happening. Because
Yeah,
I think it is totally feasible to see that higher price games will also be coming to PC.
I agree.
I don't think that's like completely out of like the loop to think about. At least that's my personal thing because like there are still like games that are coming out right now that are still like within the vein of $60, like Baldur's Gate 3. Apparently that's like a very, very big one that people have been looking forward to. Cyberpunk is still $60, but that was promised for previous gen, so I can see why they kept it that way.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, I think there will come a time. There will obviously be like a little bit of like rioting, you know. It's like, why it's on PC? Why is it more expensive? But I think people need to remember that it doesn't have to do with the console that it's on. It more has to do with the development cost and how $60 is no longer enough to recuperate that development cost, and $70, you know, might be just enough to like start making it worth it again. Because games have become these super like high production value sort of things with these massive budgets. Like I'll say it earlier, Genshin Impact itself had $100 million in development costs.
100 million?
Or
That's crazy.
sorry, that was falsely said. It made a gross 100 million, but it already recouped its development costs.
I was about to say, if it costed 100 million, no way it did.
I was like, no
There's
way
no
for a
way.
free-to-play game.
No, it's not. It's no. There's
sorry,
no way.
that was my fault. That was falsely said.
Because I feel like yeah, no. But Hitarth, what's your opinion on it?
I think I'm with Audie at this point. It's kind of just a generation thing because we used to, if you look like 8-10 years ago at game costs then, it was like what 40 was an average price for a game. I'd say like 8 years ago.
Yeah, for
and
the
then
Wii,
you
it
go,
was 40.
and then you go like another couple years before that, and you look at games, you're like, wow, this is a new game, and it's like $20-$25. And then you think about that now, and it's like, well, these new games that came out then were like $20-$25, and now it's like 60. So honestly, after a few more years, I'm not surprised that the price is going to jump up to 70, even 80 at this point. It's just kind of how it goes.
I think it's inherent.
Because we went from like 20 to 40 to 60, and now even 70, and it's a lot, but it's just what's needed at this point.
Wait, I have a question. When were we at 20? I don't remember a time that we were 20.
1923.
Oh my god.
I think
because looking.
Sorry, I was gonna say way back in like 2004 or 5. That was like how much some games were.
I don't think that's what it was, because there were a bunch of Nintendo 64 games that also kept a $60 price tag.
Yeah,
and that was more expensive given the time.
I'm gonna do some research.
He'll get back to us on that one.
Yeah, but let's talk about a next gen game that's not gonna be $70. I want to talk about Spider-Man Miles Morales, and that game has gone gold, and I'm excited.
Yes.
Okay, so for those who don't know, a game having gone gold means they are done working with the game, like production of like physical copies of the game can begin.
Yep.
So, and this is usually represented by them like posting a screenshot of them holding a disc of like the game, like saying like, yeah, it's here all in this disc. That doesn't mean there aren't still like bugs and all that stuff to iron out and all that. I still can't think of a game that has not had a day one patch in like recent memory.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty common to just have a day one patch, especially for bigger games like this, AAA titles, because it's like there's obviously like it's coming out November 12th, which is about a month from now, and so there's still plenty of time that I'm sure they're gonna be play testing, QA testing, and there's gonna be bugs that they find, and so if they can patch them by the time of the release, why wouldn't they? Because I mean, think about like games back in the day, right? Like N64, right? There's no way you can have a day one patch because that's not even connected to the internet and stuff. But like newer gen consoles and everything is like required to like have internet connection a lot of times when you're first getting the game for day one patches.
Yeah, I'd say that mostly started around like the PS3, Xbox 360 era, right?
I don't even think so. Like not required because like even those didn't have like wireless. I'm pretty sure like you had to have like an adapter.
Interesting.
I think
mean,
it was
that's
more like
right.
PS4 when
No,
like
no, I think they had wireless.
I know that the Xbox 360 had like an adapter that you had to get to use wireless. Because I remember vividly getting it because
Oh,
I
really?
wanted to play Minecraft.
That's wild. Okay. Well, but going back to Miles Morales, one, get this. I want this game so badly. They've started like, since it's gone gold, they've officially started showing off like stuff within the game, and I've been trying to avoid most of it. But one thing I happen to see is they're carrying over the tradition from Spider-Man PS4, where Miles is gonna have a variety of suits that give him like various benefits, and one of them you get to fight with a cat. So it's already game of the year in my opinion.
Yeah, I did see that. That one was really cute.
And it was adorable, and
That sounds
I
interesting.
really want that game. And plus, it has a $70 price tag on the PS5. If you decide to get the quote unquote premium edition of it, which is the original Spider-Man PS4, and then Miles Morales, which is totally worth $70.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we haven't seen what Miles Morales like really has as far as like content. So we'll have to see like if it is worth. I do think, regardless, though, as a sequel to like one of, in my opinion, the best PS4 games to date,
Oh yeah, not even a question.
that it'll definitely do well. And when it's releasing alongside other major titles like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the Demon Souls remake, I think it's important for it to actually be pretty decent because those other games can I don't think they overlap with the same like player base though, honestly. Like well, maybe I'm wrong, but I
What,
feel
you're
like
talking about Demon Souls and what was the other game?
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I mean,
No, I'd say Demon Souls caters to like a very like
yeah,
hardcore
Demon Souls
audience where
definitely
like
not.
I
Valhalla
feel like
maybe
anybody
though.
can pick up. I feel like any Valhalla's gonna be one of those games where like anybody can really pick it up and have a good time with
But
it.
that was like the thing with Spider-Man, right? And I think that's why it did so well. Is like a lot of people, regardless if they're like super into Spider-Man or not, would be like super down and enjoy the gameplay that Spider-Man PS4 had, just because of
Yeah,
how fluid it was.
yeah, and I definitely speak as having been one of those people. You know, like I've never been all too big into like superheroes. The closest like superhero thing that I'd be like that's absolute to die for is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And you know that's actually one of the reasons why I'm excited for Spider-Man Miles Morales, just because Spider-Verse featured Miles Morales as the main protagonist. So you know,
Yeah,
seeing him as playable is a really cool thing. But I saw Spider-Man PS4, and you know I don't have any particular connection to Spider-Man. It's something that Hitarth rags to me about because I've never seen any of the original Spider-Man movies.
He needs to
But
watch them, man.
I do need to watch them. But I just looked at some gameplay. I was just like, well, this looks fun. Like that's all there is to it. There's no like asterisk. There's no complicated mechanics. It's just like you know like depth is there, but it's easy to understand. The movement is fun. Combat is fun. The premise is compelling. That's really all like it's like checks all the boxes off my list for like what seems fun.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think they did a great job on that. I'm sure it'll be a great game. Miles Morales coming out soon. But if you are interested in, I guess, saving some money, just like Miles Morales was already doing, we do have a deal of the week that could correlate to the PS5, but definitely does for the PS4. Right now on eBay, there is a PS Plus 12-month subscription, so 1 year, for half price being $31,
Wait, are you
which
serious?
is probably the lowest it's been like ever. Yeah.
That's actually crazy good. Jeez.
$31 for a 1 year subscription, and that is gonna work for the PS5, I believe. So
Yeah, I believe it's tied to the
Oh,
account.
that's good then. That's
yeah,
really good.
so anyone that is interested in that, you can either just look up like on eBay PlayStation PS Plus, but check it out as soon as possible, and check that out of your cart because it's gonna go fast.
Yeah, it's already sold a bunch, as I can see.
It's sold 70,000.
Yeah, that's an easy way to not go broke, because like those subscription things are. I like this is one of the reasons why I'm like, quote unquote, privileged as a fan of Nintendo, because a year of their stuff only costs $20, and then we also
And it
split
costs
that as like
$5 for us.
yeah, and then we also split that being in like the family share plan. And even though Nintendo Online's terrible, it's that's it, that was the end of the sentence.
Even though it's terrible, it's awful.
I'm glad that it like lets me play online with like friends and all that stuff. And one of the things that I've been playing online with friends is Minecraft Steve in Smash Bros. That still feels wrong to say. I'm gonna be totally honest.
I don't like it at all.
His
after
look and
playing
feel
it,
just it still feels a little wrong. It's exciting and hype, but it just does not look right.
Just like I went and watched that trailer again, and I know I mentioned this last week. It still feels so weird to see him in the game. I'm like playing as him now, and I'm like inputting stuff, and it still doesn't feel real. It still feels like I'm playing like some sort of like fan project that has way too much time and effort put into it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't own him, and I was playing against Audie, and like Audie is much better than myself, but at least occasionally I feel like I can take games off of him. There was no chance. This character was broken beyond belief. He has the kit of Sage upon release in Valorant. Every single thing you could dream of having on a character is built into one character. It's awful.
It's just like, you want good recovery, you have it. You have stage stalling, you have it. You want stage presence, you have it. You want to upgrade your own attacks, you have it.
You want something that can three-shot people, you got it.
They gave him everything. It's the fact that he just has so many more options for moves compared to other characters. Because you think for a generic character in a fighting game, let's say like in Smash, like back when like Brawl and stuff was a thing, even Melee, right? Characters would have moves they could do from certain button actions, and they'd be limited to those moves. Let's say like 6 to 8, right? You have your different aerials, you have your smash attacks, you have like a dash attack, and you have your grabs. That was it. And then at this point now, you just have so many characters where the same button, based on like how you use it and what like context you're at. So for Steve, let's say if you're on the ground, your B button starts mining resources. If you're in the air, it places blocks. It just he's got so many moves.
Table, he uses said resources to upgrade his attacks.
Yeah, like you map so many different options for him to do on similar buttons. It just gives him too many options.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I had to guess, he has at least like 14 different moves. Between everything that he has, like if you include like forward air, back air, stuff like that. And like, I don't know, it feels very, very difficult to play. And this might be a weird comparison, and maybe I'm mistaken on this, honestly, because I haven't played with him, and I'm also not a high-level player in any regard. But to me, it seems similar to Overwatch, where Widowmaker's only really counter is Widowmaker. And I feel like it's a similar thing right now where Steve is the best counter to Steve because they have obviously the same moveset.
I would say it's more in line to like. I'm gonna go ahead and keep using the Overwatch comparison. When it comes to terms of utility, like I see what you mean about like Widowmaker versus Widowmaker, but that all comes down to skill. Where I feel like this has a little bit more to do with power creep. And power creep, for those who don't know, is a concept where essentially, like, as this is usually something that happens with gacha games, funnily enough, as a game keeps going in its life cycle and keeps releasing new characters, to one of the characters they've already made, they make it more powerful than the previous ones, and those old characters no longer really stand a chance. So it's just like, compare. What was the character that was really broken on release? Oh wait, let's just use Moira. Moira's still broken. Okay, so compare Moira to like a Widowmaker, right?
Yeah.
Like close to range, Moira wins. Even though she's a healer, she has got more utility. She's got easy escapes. She's got auto aim. You know, like it's just hard for like Widowmaker to deal with that unless they've got like that one precise opening. But if you miss that precise opening, you're more or less screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. The way that I saw it as a comparison is less about skill and more about the fact that it's really hard to contest. Like for instance, take Hanzo. You can beat out a Widowmaker in a long range fight, but it is much harder to, and it takes a lot more precision, I feel. Whereas in Widowmaker, surprisingly, it's a lot easier to duel another Widowmaker, even if your aim isn't like immaculate, just inherently because there's no travel distance on the shot. So the way that I see it is like Minecraft Steve, like you can play other characters, but I feel like it's harder to beat him with other characters, and this is just a broad generalization, than it is to play Steve himself at a like matching it. And I mean, I haven't played enough with it, but
I guess this is where Hitarth and I can take over the conversation for a bit, because we have like played quite a bit more using Steve, and Hitarth played Steve more than I did, and I found myself in situations all the time where, because he has all this utility, I just end up in the no-win scenario in the middle stage.
Yeah, with how Steve's aerials and moves work, it comes out so fast compared to other characters that you can just honestly keep hitting them and keep pressure on them. And even if they get back to stage, they're basically still in disadvantage.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to butt in one more time, but like, I feel like I've played all those games with Audie, and like I said, I'm not the greatest, but there was no point where I felt like I punished him because he was running out of materials. I feel like that is a big thing in the kit that is like not exploitable necessarily, but it should be exploitable. Where it's like if you're pressuring them really hard, they can't mine. But I feel like you get one strong attack, it sends me like half the distance. You can mine like 6 diamonds in that span. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like
well, that's a little of a stretch.
Okay,
but
not 6 diamonds, but I feel like you don't run out of materials.
Yeah,
and you also carry materials, which you might want to talk about, where you carry all of those regardless if you die or not.
Yeah, that is a very good point. So Steve, using this like materials system, can upgrade his attacks on a crafting table depending on what materials it has. It goes in the order of wood, which is he already spawned with by default, stone, iron, gold, and then diamond. And then gold and diamond are put into like special categories, like you can't use them for making blocks. They're like specifically used at the crafting table to make and better your weapons. Diamond is stronger, gold can attack faster, but you know, gold breaks easier. And whenever you get knocked out between stocks, if you happen to have a gold or diamond, you retain that gold or diamond, and honestly that's dumb.
Yeah, being able to keep that for a next stock. So let's say you've just been using an iron tool and you're still doing a decent amount of damage once you've upgraded to iron, because it's just too much. It just does too much damage. And then let's say you get enough percent on someone and then you lose your stock and you come back, you use your invulnerability from dying and respawning to immediately make a diamond tool because you still have that, and then you can immediately just start attacking for even more damage. That next stock.
God, I Ugh.
And keep in mind, Hitarth and I are still extremely basic of the character. I've already seen some Twitter clips where people are like more or less just abusing the tools that he has available, and like when played right, oh my, the stuff that character can do is disgusting.
His stage pressure is too good. He can literally edgeguard every single character just because of the fact that he can place blocks to stand on off stage and use smash attacks on them, or use any attack he wants on them, honestly.
Yeah, the fact that he can make platforms in a platform fighter, I feel like is enough of a gimmick for one character.
Yeah,
the fact
like
that he has that and other things is absurd to me.
It's crazy how strong he is. I feel like this has been happening. Like every new DLC character they started to release has just always been really strong at release. Not every single one, but most of them have.
Rise and Byleth.
Yeah, like Violet's been okay. Violet's a really strong character, but their moves come out too slow, so people have been able to use her and do stuff just fine. Joker came out, was broken, still kind of broken. He's top tier still. But like, there were some DLC characters that came out and they weren't entirely busted. Like Banjo and Kazooie, when he came out, he was strong.
Terry was broken.
He wasn't broken. Terry wasn't really broken. He was a good character, but his offstage is terrible. If you're not on stage, then you're basically screwed. Steve has everything, similar to Joker.
What's that thing you mentioned about Terry? Oh, a character flaw. That's right. Those are called character flaws.
Oh, yeah. Steve doesn't have that. Like Hector said, you can kind of run out of resources if you're getting starved on stage. And that happened to me, I guess, maybe once. Audie kept me off stage enough that I started running out of blocks and recovery options. I still have a glide recovery.
Like 40, 50 games.
Yeah, exactly. That happened once where I felt like I'm actually running out of blocks. I eventually got onto stage. I hit him once. I had enough blocks for the rest of the game. He doesn't run out of blocks. Like, his moves can get upgraded. He does more damage. His recovery and his edge pressure are endless. There's just so much that there's no flaw in the character, really. The only thing you could really say is a flaw is like, oh, he has a tether grab. Takes a little longer to grab someone. That's it.
Can I mention a special annoyance of mine with the character being his side B, the minecart? So essentially, he places this thing down, right, and he rides in it. And you can use it to ram a person if they're on the ground, or you can choose to jump out of it, like if they're going to jump and cover an aerial option. Mm-hmm. If you choose to jump and get out of it, and you're still on the ground, you will automatically hop into the minecart, and you have to mash your way out. And in some instances, that literally just means death when you're sent careening off the edge on the thing.
Yeah, standing on stage isn't safe because Steve can just from the other side of the stage send out a minecart at you. He jumps out immediately, and this thing's traveling right at you. And if you can't shield it, you have to jump it. That's all you can do, or hit it, I guess. But at that point,
Steve's already jumping, so you're gonna get hit that way.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you get hit by it, like Audie said, you get stuck in the minecart, and you have to get out of it, like being grabbed or like being buried into the ground. And this thing can move, and it moves, and it takes you off stage as well. So it's just crazy.
I got knocked out a fair share of times to that.
God, and then he has TNT. I forget about.
Oh yeah,
this.
we have.
And then he has
TNT.
And then he has, on top of everything else, his extremely strong move. Like Ganondorf has his big punch. Captain Falcon has a big punch. Steve places down a block of TNT on the ground with his down B or down special. And there are a lot of different ways you can use it. If you continue holding the same button and moving, you can start placing redstone, and then you'll eventually, at the end, place a pressure plate. When you step on that...
Is that how you place redstone? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you step on the pressure plate, the TNT blows up. If the TNT takes enough damage, it'll eventually blow up on a timer. Or if it just takes enough damage, it'll blow up immediately. You can ignite the TNT and send it to your opponent's way, either smash attacks or Steve's down tilt, which is literally a flint and steel. So iconic to the game, you're literally putting down TNT, you're literally flint and stealing it, and you're blowing up your other opponents. And this is a massive move. I'd say it does like at least 35% on its own if you get hit by it. Maybe not that.
It has
like somewhere around there. Yeah, it has the very strong hit dramatic effect.
It looks like it's like
kills.
It looks like it's what's it called? Gonna like kill you, no matter how low you are.
No,
it's an
so you know how
explosive.
certain moves have that like dramatic like blue zoom in, like Captain Falcon's Falcon Punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it has like that. It's just
It does
an
that.
absurdly strong move. And not
And
to
I've seen.
mention the people that they updated this patch has also been strange. For one, let's talk about them buffing Ness. Ness?
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Yeah, they were like, this character wasn't good enough, so they buffed him.
Yeah, the Ice Climbers got buffs. Sonic got buffs, which I absolutely despise.
Sonic Hero.
No, Sonic's a villain, and I'm
Oh,
allergic to that.
okay. Yeah.
There were one person that or two people that got buffs that I feel actually deserve buffs. Lucaria got buffs and Bowser Jr. got buffs because they're like okay characters, not perfect by any means, but they deserved it. And then the Belmonts got buffs, which is Simon and Richter Belmont, who, for those who don't play the game, are essentially known as, if you pick them on online, all you can do is just keep throwing projectiles and camp them out. So like they can absolutely do cool stuff, but that's way harder to do.
Yeah, it's way easier just to spam projectiles with the characters. And speaking
Yeah.
of buffs for the characters, I do like how Nintendo's doing stuff, where Nintendo, with the whole idea of power creep, they're not doing power creep too hard. Sure, they're releasing characters that are inherently better than the other characters in the
Seems like
roster.
a bit hypocritical after they released Steve and
Yeah,
Papa.
Yeah.
but they still focus their patches and stuff on buffing characters rather than nerfing them.
That's
They do
true,
nerf
yeah.
characters occasionally, but they generally continue to buff characters, unlike older characters as well, so that like everyone becomes on an even playing field and not everyone feels like they're doing almost no damage except Sheik.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is Smash has the worst balancing I've ever seen.
I don't think it's the worst. I think
it's definitely not the worst.
eh.
I think it's just the fact that it has like the biggest roster.
But I haven't played a single other game that has worse balancing. That's
Well, it's
like
because
as big.
you don't play traditional fighting games. Traditional fighting games have terrible balancing because for a lot of them they have over like 60 characters to choose from, and at that point there's the set meta of 3 characters that can basically do infinites or like 0 to whatever % damage and all that.
Yeah.
That's generally how traditional fighting games go.
I mean,
think the
you've dealt
exception
with
to
your
that's
fair share of
Tekken.
broken stuff, though, haven't you, Hector? like
Like
Valorant.
Moira. Yeah.
Moira
Overwatch.
released I forgot her name. Sage. Sage was broken on release. You mentioned that already. But
Yeah, Sage was a bit disastrous, and then they nerfed her into the ground, and now she is, I believe, one of the lowest pick rate, agents in the game. But we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk a little bit more about the new Valorant map and how that's going after a week of it being out.
Yep. We don't want to spoil too much. Got some exciting Valorant news for next week.
Valorant's exciting.
No, but
I'm
new
kidding,
music
okay.
is.
Yes, sir. You already know. New music, new week, new music. Always 3 songs. That's just how it works. We've got coming up. The first 2 are gonna be. I'm gonna make sure I don't mess this up. Accidental Interaction and Talk Loud by Shy Boys. It's from their album Talk Loud. You ever notice that? Generally, albums have a song has the same name as it. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
me. Their music
they
is
do.
Easy way to promote the album.
yeah. I think I like it. Their music is indie pop, and their songs have layered harmonies and really poppy synths, so they make for an overall bright tone. So I hope you guys enjoy those 2. And then following that right after, we've got Time Crisis by Vacations. Very ironic. From their album Forever in Bloom. Their music is a mix of dance pop with upbeat, I wouldn't say upbeat, I'd say chill and mellow beats. So they overall just have a good vibe to them. So I hope you guys enjoy those 3.
Yeah, you saying Time Crisis just reminded me that I have an assignment due at the end of today, so I think that's all the time we have today. I need to go get on that. Stay safe, wear a mask. We'll see you guys next week.
Take it
Bye.
easy, guys.
Peace, guys.